Hey, babe. Hello, all, and welcome to the Affluent Marriage Podcast. You're listening to two money mastery coaches talking about living a rich and full marriage through generational wealth building principles, authentic two-way communication strategies, and everything in between to become a couple that lives in love and walks in wealth. Your legacy begins here, season 3 style.
What? I spy with my little eye that you said something different about us today.
I did. We are embracing the fact that we are money mastery coaches. That's who we are.
Right. We are money mastery coaches, y'all. We have done some serious glow ups, okay, between season 2 and season 3. And I love this. And I think you said this at the very beginning when we first started this out, that you said this would be a historical document of our change, our evolution, our journey. And let me tell you, it has been an evolution and a journey.
I think just knowing your niche, like where you fit in the market. Who are we? Look, we help high earning power couples to obtain affluent synergy in their shared finances and communication, even if they already outsource to a professional finance team or if they already have a financial written plan.
Yes.
Right. We know our market. We know who we're helping. And it's important to know, your title, your client, your potential client, and what you can do for them.
We also have something amazing called the Affluent Synergy Framework. And that is something that Daniel and I have been working very hard on in making sure that whatever client comes into, ideal client that comes into our sphere, that we're able to help them with all of the things that they need to become a couple that lives in love and walks in wealth.
Here's the way I look at that.
It's just becoming so much more, yes.
Within this Affluent Synergy Framework we have, there's 3 legs to that, basically, right? But I don't want to look at it as 3 legs. I envision it as like a road. And on a road, right, that's a two-way road, you have lines on that road. So you've got your midline, and then you've got your 2 boundary lines, right?
Right.
The midline is there to keep cars from running into each other, right?
Yes.
So for us in that Affluent Synergy Framework, that midline is the safe place conversations.
Agreed.
And the reason why that's there is it protects you from killing your spouse.
I love the
without that,
bluntness.
Y'all are going to go at each other.
Yeah.
Right? And then we have our 2 boundary lines. And for that, we have our financial strategy and our financial routine. And that's going to keep you on the road, pushing and propelling forward.
Look at that.
You're not going to go off track.
Because we got that lane, that lane assist. You got that, right? We just got this new car and it has lane assist. And let me tell you, it will vibrate, it will move, it will be like, get back into the lane, right? It wants to keep me safe. That's exactly what the framework is helping you to do as well. It wants to keep you on track, keep you safe, and make sure that you and your spouse are together going towards the same journey. So look at that. Do you see that synergy?
And we also have Cancun.
Oh yeah. We haven't even gone to Cancun, y'all.
I'm excited, done this yet. But we've got Cancun outfits.
Oh, we've got Cancun outfits. Make sure that you're following us on Affluent Marriage Pod on Instagram and KG Millionaire Coach on Instagram, because we're going to be updating and we're probably going to do a lot of content and a lot of fun stuff happening in the next weeks, to just recap our fun vacation, but also recap the growth we're doing. So this is.
But it is a business trip.
It's a business trip.
It's a networking trip.
Yeah,
we're going to be around a lot of people, just gaining as much information as we can, but also, selling ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely, right? We want to leave with partnerships.
I'm a good time.
Yeah, and leave with connections with other clients as well. So I am excited that we are in season 3, excited that we have a new understanding of what we want to bring to the table. And man, today we're talking about the commitment to being affluent. If you don't know, right, this is called the Affluent Marriage Podcast. And affluence is not something that you just wake up and decide, I'm going to be affluent, right? Some people might even call it bougie, but your bougie is going to look different than another person's bougie. You have to figure out what that's going to look like. But when you commit to being affluent and commit to the building of that wealth to stay affluent, there's something in particular that has to happen in order for you to create that sustainability, to actually What is that the saying? That the saying that starts whenever you're making a shift, it doesn't start with the action. It starts up here to do the action, right? So it starts up in your mind. You have to make the decision and then act. So yeah. How do we commit to being affluent?
I want to start with a quote. I haven't done this in a while,
I'm
but
sorry,
I wanted to bring back a quote from our good friend T. Harv Eker,
Love T. Harv.
Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, which is a very just inspirational and motivational book. Like if you're looking for something that is going to help you commit to that affluence lifestyle, then this is going to motivate you to get after it. So Harv says you have to commit to being rich. The definition of the word commit is to devote oneself unreservedly. This means holding absolutely nothing back, giving 100% of everything you've got to achieving wealth.
Now, understand that this doesn't mean you're selling yourself out, okay? Because I think a lot of people might have the idea of rich and they immediately think of a Kardashian, right? Which, honestly, if you think of the Kardashians at the very molecular level, the fact that they are businesswomen and they are darn good businesswomen. They know what they're doing.
Right? Harv says, bless the rich.
Bless the rich, right? If you look at the very, very like molecular level, I know what media wants to say and what they sell because they know it sells, but at the molecular level, they know what they're doing in business. And you know what? Let me just go to another person that I'm recently, like obsessed with. Taylor Swift.
Oh.
Yes, of course you.
Yeah.
But Taylor Swift knows what she's doing. And she is committed to being the best and committed to being wealthy as a result of her going after the thing that she's not holding back from.
Can I put on my tinfoil hat?
Yeah, go for it.
What is the likelihood that the NFL paid Taylor Swift to date Travis Kelce to bring in a new audience to watch NFL games?
I think very small. Because if anything, it would have started...
Because what if she's a businesswoman?
No,
and she was like, well, if you want to pay me that kind of money and you're going to give me access to, I don't know, like a Super Bowl or something. I don't know.
I mean, she's never done a Super Bowl.
She hasn't?
No.
Well, Usher got it this year.
I think she'd be a really good Super Bowl pick.
I'm just saying, maybe the NFL's in the bag and gave her some cash and now she's dating Travis Kelce.
See, if that's the case, Travis, you know how this worked, right? Travis Kelce went to her concert and tried to shoot his shot. He started it.
Maybe the NFL paid him.
I mean, I'm just saying, maybe they're
colluding.
So I'm saying, like, if anything, if that was really a story you wanted to tell, it would have to be that they came to him and said, bro, you need to go to this concert. She's going to more NFL stadiums and playing in more hours than we are.
I don't know. I feel like there's some like Midsummer Night's Dream going on here. There's like a little triangle going on.
I know. And I love it.
Between T Swift and Travis Kelce and Commissioner Robert Goodell.
What? I don't know who that is.
He's the NFL commissioner. I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
That's okay.
Okay.
Swifties don't know who that is. Swifties don't know who that is.
You're with me?
But they will because they're going to start watching NFL games.
It's true. I saw this one TikTok where they were going through, like, as a song, like, who all the quarterbacks and who all the different people are. Like,
I love it. Yes. It's okay, Swifty. Tell me about football.
The highest scoring and like well-known people in the NFL are.
Yes.
I think all the quarterbacks mainly, and like the level of hotness. Because that's how we would know who they were on the field.
Are you speaking about you?
No, this was a TikTok. I'm not the only one who does this.
Oh, okay. Because I remember that a long time ago, you tried to play fantasy football and you picked all of your draft picks based upon cuteness.
Yes. Who did I pick? Was it Marshawn? No.
Russell Wilson. You've got that Sierra.
Wilson. Yes.
You got those Sierra eyes.
Russell Wilson. Yes.
You're like, he's
who is now
cute.
on the Broncos, and
good
they're
for
not
you.
doing a very good job.
They actually just got blown out like 70-20.
Yeah, they're not doing a great job.
That's not his fault. I mean, he plays offense.
I know, but anyway, we got a little off. But yes, when we commit to being rich, there are certain things, activities, whatever, that we have to do to make sure that we're committed to that. And that doesn't necessarily mean spending all of your money haphazardly. Committing to be rich means you need to really understand, again, at a very molecular level, what that looks like and feels like. So I love that you said that, no, absolutely holding nothing back. I think when we when we are walking into this state of affluence, we need to surround ourselves around an environment that is affluent. So let me give you an example of something that helps me sometimes when I'm like maybe stuck in my current situation and I'm like, I know we're working towards something, but I am not seeing the finish line right now. I'm feeling like it's a little bit blurry. I'd like to take myself somewhere in which I feel affluent. So sometimes that could be, at a cafe. And it doesn't have to take a lot of money, right? So I'm at a cafe, I'm drinking my favorite drink, and I'm just breathing in the day. I'm breathing in, like just being still in my seat, people watching, and I am able to feel like, wow, this is what I want. Like as I create more wealth, I want more space to do this, more space to sit. That sounds horrible. I just want to be lazy. No, but more space to enjoy whatever it is.
Choice.
I want choice. That's really what it is. It's not that I just want to be able to sit there and go, I'm just going to sit on my keister. But like, I want to enjoy and truly enjoy a moment and not have to think about anything else on my brain. I want to truly have choice. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Oh, you know what? Like, what if I could sit in that cafe sipping my macchiato and I have an idea that comes to my brain of, you know what? I want to write a book. Or maybe I see a person sitting in the corner and I say, I'm going to buy her meal for her today because I just feel like it. Like those types of things, when you start thinking through what you would do as that person that you desire to be, that's when the vision of, oh my gosh, this is what I really truly want. It's not necessarily always having the fancy car and the designer outfits, although that can be part of it. The other part is there's a certain way that I want to give back to the world. There's a certain way that I want to live. And when I start to like get a glimpse of that, that's what makes me go, this is why I'm working as hard as I'm working. This is why I'm continuing to invest. This is why I want to have, several properties that I want to be able to have to amass wealth so that I have more space, more choice to do these things.
My mind went to 100 different places of things that I want to talk about, but I'm going to start with this. When you think about how many people there are in the world, right? We've got to be above 8 billion at this point. Like it's growing every day.
Every second.
Right? Every second people are being born. And think about how many people hold most of the wealth in the world, right? It's only a sliver of the percentage of the people in the world hold most of the wealth. So my point is, majority of people in this world are not rich. Being affluent, being rich, like that's not something that's just, you're not just going to like walk into that. Like it's not just going to happen to you on accident.
Right.
Like if you want to be affluent, if you want to make a ton of money and be rich, you need to commit yourself wholeheartedly to that.
Right.
That's not something you can just be half button, like you got to be fully committed to being rich. So my point is, you got to get after it.
Yeah. So what are some things that we can do, action steps to get after it? Like, because then again, I still think that a lot of people, even in their mind, as you say, you have to get after it. You have to hold nothing back. People think, oh, I have to go after getting that dollar, whatever it takes. I have to, slip into a space of greed. That's not what we're saying, right? We're not saying slip into a space of greed. We're saying be intentional about where your money is going and treat the dollars that you bring in now as your future affluent dollars. And if you don't tell them where to go, you don't treat them with the respect of like, this is where I want you to go. This is how I'm planting the seed for my future. If you're not doing that with today's dollars, then you're not ever going to reach that vision of future affluence. So
I think you just have to be committed though. Like think about the people who hold a lot of the wealth, right? Like the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates, and like they had a dream while they were working in their garage,
right.
And they had that first computer. Like they had a dream and they didn't just kind of say, oh, that's a cool dream.
Right.
Like they actually went after it. You think about Rachel Rodgers, which is who we talked about when we first started this podcast, and how she was a lawyer. She's making good money. Like, she kind of had her own firm and her own business. Like she was doing well. And then the pandemic hit and she really had to toil with, how committed am I to this? Like,
right.
I have employees that I'm not going to be able to pay because all of the work is gone. Like everyone's working from home. Like it's done. So she had to have a moment where, you know, it's either make or break. Like
Right.
I either stay committed to this and I want this and I get after it, or it all just crumbles.
Right.
And she rose from that, right? She created an entirely new offer, an entirely new program,
Right.
and it thrived during the pandemic. And she made more money than she'd ever made in any single month of her career.
Yeah.
Because of her commitment.
Yeah.
So my point is, you have to get at it. If you have a dream, if you have something that you've always thought about pursuing, it's not time to hold back.
Right.
Like it's time to, what would you say, Kim? Put the pedal to the
pedal to the gas.
I love
to the
it.
pedal. Put the
pedal
gas
to the
on-
metal, babe. I set you up there a little bit because I kind of gave you a different one and wanted to see what you say. But yeah, you've got to put your foot
on
to
the
to the pedal, floor the gas, and you got to go for it.
You had to go for it. Yeah. So for you, like I said, it's just being intentional. So some ideas that you can think of, right? Which again, we're going to say some things that you've probably heard before. And to that, I say, why haven't you done anything about that yet? Right. So there are two camps. I feel like whenever, and the thing is, I will hear financial, like people talk all the time, and I will still get something out of it, even if it's something I've heard before. Sometimes I'll hear something and I'll be like, I knew that. But the way that it came from that person's mouth, the way they worded it and phrased it, I was able to say, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm so glad she said it that way for those listeners, because there's so many different ways that can be said. And it's able to give me like a checks and balance. Like, oh, I never thought about that before. Oh, we should try that. Right. So even if you were on this like road and you're like, I got this, know that there are so many different ways to get to your desired goal. And know that this is listening to this is simply a space for you to have checks and balances with yourself. Am I doing these things? Have I said I was going to do them and I keep putting it off? Have I done it and I'm seeing, you know, movement with that, like it's working, but are there places that I could tweak or do better? And if if we say here today that you do, and you're like, I do all of that, I'm on the right track, then good for you. Then share this with a friend, share this episode with someone, say, guys, this is so true. Everything in here is something that was from my brain. This is totally something that you should do if you're trying to be an affluent person. I'm doing all of these things and I'm so excited that I've done it. That is a great way to just share, just share the wealth. So
before we jump into some of the ways that we can commit ourselves to being affluent, I do want to say this. You mentioned getting to your desired goal. It is so important to know your purpose, to know what you're driving yourself towards. Like you have to have a goal in mind. And I say that because there's a psychology to money.
yeah,
And you will never have enough money. You'll never get to a point where you're like, I'm good, I don't want any more. Unless you have a purpose and an end goal in mind where you say, I have a concept of this word, enough. Like I have enough. And I'm not saying contentment like, you know, you're just like, oh, I'm content. Like things are, no, I don't mean that. I mean, you have an idea in mind of what you want your lifestyle to be. I want my investments, my Roths to be maxed out. I want my 529s to be maxed out for my children. I want my house of my dreams. Like I'm making comfortable payments on and it's not stretching me and I'm not house poor. Like I've got the vehicles that I dreamed about and desired, and I have those. And I go on the amount of trips that I wanted to go on like you have an idea of what you want your life to look like.
right.
You've painted that picture and that's what you're working towards. And when you get there, like I'm not saying you can't chase after more, but if you don't have that concept of enough, then you will never have enough. And that's when it can be consuming. And I don't want this to become something that consumes you and eats away at you. But I do want you to commit yourself to being affluent to get to what you said, that end goal.
Right. Right. And again, this starts with mindset. So in your mind, you'll be able to say like, wow, I feel really good. I know there's more things I want to do, but oh man, do I feel very, very content right now. It is a blissful feeling, let me tell you. So the first thing is you really want to make sure that you have a clear financial goal. That's really important first. So we do make sure that you have that end goal in mind. But then it's like that wealth mindset that also comes in there as well. So like if there's anything that's limiting you, the limiting beliefs around finances. So think about the things that maybe you've held on to from when you were younger, from when you were a kid. Maybe you saw your parents fight a lot with money. Maybe you never got an understanding of like how to even manage your money effectively because it was never modeled for you. And maybe you read books, you listen to podcasts, you know that there's a way to manage your money, but you have no idea what that means for you. And so that can be very, very like confusing as to like, how do I even get there? This seems like it's like a hop, skip, and a jump and like a rocket ship away from me. So you need to have that wealth mindset. So it's kind of like what we said before about developing that affluent, area for yourself. So again, like I said, going to the coffee, house and looking around and kind of thinking, what is the affluent version of me doing in this time frame? Like, what am I doing as an affluent being? How am I going to elevate this moment? Is it just being still? Is it, paying for somebody else's meal? Is it helping the owner and saying, hey, I would like to just give you $5,000 because I just really like this place? Like, what kind of flex do you want to be able to be like, yes, I can do that? Really think about those things and develop the mindset through positive affirmations, through finding ways to switch and turn some of those limiting beliefs around to, oh no, I can do this. I have the absolute ability to do this.
Right. I'd like you to picture your mind in this moment as a container. And that container, today. That's what I do. The book that I'm writing, Wealth Happens Here, is full of that.
Oh, did you hear that, guys? Hold on, I just want to say that.
The book that I am writing, and I am almost halfway through.
Seriously?
Yes.
Season 3, Kim and Dan have
we don't play
some serious glow ups. Okay.
So I want you to picture your mind as like a container, and your container is going to be full. But what is it full of? Is it full of those limiting beliefs? Is it full of the negative? Or is it full of positive affirmations around money and that positive growth mindset? Earlier I said, T. Harv Eker says, bless the rich, right? You want to bless that which you want to be. So that's why we bless the rich. So you can say whatever you want about the celebrities and the people that are doing well.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you worked hard to get there. You did what you had to do to make that money. Like, good for you.
Let's have a conversation real quick. Because can I tell you a pain in my side that I hear is a lot of people saying, well, if you're so rich, why don't you take care of XYZ problem, right? Now, I'm not saying you're not completely, like, you're right. But whose money is it? Is it yours or is it theirs? Do you have control over their morals? No, you don't. Do you have control over yours? Yes. Do you have control over your time, money, and resources? Yes. So if your view of affluence is being able to go and help neighborhoods one meal at a time, one school drive at a time, if that is your calling, if that's what you feel whenever you see someone who is affluent, who is rich, and you question their motives, then you take that mantle and say, well, then guess what? It is my whole motive that as I bring in more income, more wealth into my world, that I am helping in this capacity because I am wholeheartedly going after this goal. And that sometimes is the thing where it's not even that you're like, oh, I'm better than them. It's just like, they also have a motive, a goal, a thing they're moving or going after. And I hope that whatever that is, that they're fulfilling it. And I'm going to hope the best, even if, because I don't know their morals. I hope that their hearts are changed, but I can't change their mind. I can't change their morals. I can't change the way they manage their money, but I can manage mine better. I can do my part. And you have to be okay with just doing that. And you have to be okay with, even sharing what you're doing and inviting other people to catch on to that dream. But you cannot control another person's wealth. that is a thorn in my, I can't stand when
Right.
people have
Our
opinions on
differences can be a dividing point for a lot of people, but it's also our differences that allow there to be so many different charities and
Yeah.
things out there, because everyone has a different mission or a different calling that they feel led to contribute towards. So I was talking about the container in your mind, right? A lot of people probably have limiting beliefs.
Yes.
That are overflowing their container, and you can add some if you can think of some off the top of your head, but you're limited. You have to identify what they are. Is your limiting belief, well, I'm not good at math? Or is your limiting belief, that was yours, my family, we didn't come from money, so money's not going to come to me? Or my family wasn't good with money, or I'm not good with money, or I've got so much debt, or I'm stuck in credit cards, or oh, teachers don't make a lot of money, so teachers can never be rich.
What mine
what
was.
is that it for you?
Yep. Teachers don't make a lot of money. My job doesn't make a lot of money. There's no way I can get another job.
I'm a woman. I'm a minority.
I'm a mom. I have kids. I'm a single mom. I have kids, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to do that. It's just hopeless for me.
I don't have enough time.
Yes, time is.
I don't have enough energy.
Yep.
So you have to check yourself and see what is the limiting belief that is overflowing, that is filling that container, which is your mind. Because if your mind is just full of all these limiting beliefs, it's going to be very difficult to be committed.
Can I tell the listeners how they can move from that limiting mindset to a positive mindset? One of my favorite things, I should ask for your permission.
You have my consent.
Thank you. Okay. I didn't
Talk to people about evaporation. I don't know what you're going to say.
Evaporation of the limiting beliefs. So one of the things that because listen, our story is unique. We are educators. We paid off $76,000 in 28 months. We were making less than $60K together, and we worked a lot of jobs to get out of debt in 28 months. Now, our flexes, and everybody has a flex. Our flexes that we had were that we had no kids. We were living in a very expensive area, so rent was expensive, but we were able to move to a smaller space. And we were also around family members who, occasionally, like we would go to your parents' house on Sunday nights for dinner. We would go to my parents' house and they would have random food and we would go eat it. So like we had some flexes like that allowed us to have a little bit more leverage. However, they didn't help us with the debt. There
were no handouts.
There was no handouts, right? So you might listen to our story and say, well, it's because you had this that you got it done so fast. Oh, well, it's because you had this, as excuses and limiting beliefs as to why it can't happen for you. So what I love to tell people to do is, you know what? You're right. I'm not like you and you're not like me. Go on YouTube and I want you to do a search engine for whatever your situation is, whatever that limiting belief is, and winning with money. Like just put single mom with 6 kids, pays off debt, right? Put it in there and I want you to see what comes up. I guarantee you that you will find at least one story of someone who has conquered their debt, conquered their money mindset, made their money, built an organization, built a charity, built a base of understanding in their fight, got a better job, changed their entire life around because of whatever X, Y, and Z they did. Most of it has to do with like money management and mindset. Guarantee you will find it. And use those stories as your fuel. Use those stories as a way to shift your limiting belief and say, it is possible because I've seen it done before with someone who has similar situations to me. I know it can be possible for me too. That's a great way to just kind of slowly shift those limiting beliefs.
I'm trying to remember what I saw educators in the top 5 of. I'm not sure if it was how like top 5 professions that retire well or what the statistic was. But the point is, educators, even though they don't make a ton of money every year, they still manage their money very well. They're like one of the top 5 professions when it comes to retirement.
I think it's one of the top professions that hit millionaire status too.
Maybe that's what it was that I was seeing. My point in that is I think educators have a leg up on other professions, not in income, but in the fact that they see and appreciate continuous learning.
Yes.
Because they know how to educate themselves. They are professional educators, not just of others, but of themselves. Like they see the need to constantly improve their craft.
Yes.
And they're very crafty when it comes to finances.
Yes.
And they find a way to, bend and flex their budget to make it work for them. And if they have to pick up extra jobs, they do it.
Yep.
If they need to invest, they do it. Whatever it is they have to do, the educators get after it. And it's not just because they married some rich guy or some rich gal, right?
Yeah.
Like they are continuously educating themselves about their personal finance and their investing and different wealth building strategies. Like they know how to constantly learn. And I think that helps them when it comes to their mindset.
Agreed.
So if they have these limiting beliefs, they know how to identify them. They know how to get rid of them, and they know how to fill that void, fill that gap with those positive affirmations that's going to push them into that next bracket.
I wonder if there's a lot of teachers, this is total side note, I would like to look at some data on this, because when you're educating in a public sector, you are automatically in your a pension, right? So if you have a pension and that pension is then accrued over time, along with if you have a 403B, you might accidentally, I shouldn't say accidentally, but because they take that money out automatically, coupled with what's in your retirement, you leave a millionaire.
Right. I mean,
Right?
for sure, the
Especially if you do
403B, if you're investing, that's going to be there. The pension and Social Security, we don't know. Like that could just be good gas money.
Right.
30 years from now.
Don't know.
You don't
We
know.
don't know. But I wonder if that happens, right? But regardless, what you say is correct. Like teachers have a very good way of like monitoring their mindset, and they're also really good at asking questions. And when we're faced with a space where we have to like have a growth mindset, learning something that we've never heard before or learned before, we rise to the occasion. We will get it done. So I do agree with you that there is that grit, I think, with educators. So in continuing our conversation about affluence and committing to affluence, right? We've just talked about making sure that you are, committing, that you have a plan, that you know exactly what you want your life to look like, that you're working on that mindset. I also think, making sure that you're networking and learning from others is a really important thing to do to make sure that you are surrounding yourself around an affluent feeling. And you want to be able to have these affluent conversations, because those conversations look and sound a lot different than conversations of people who are riddled with limiting beliefs, and they don't really dream big. They are stuck in the rut, so to speak, or the rat wheel. So, what are some examples of like learning from others and networking that people can do? Like, how are we going into those spaces?
I think about how many people make it to professional sports like the NFL and the NBA, and they have short, medium, long careers, whatever. But when they retire from the NBA, a lot of these players end up going broke. And a big reason for that is because they can't let go of their past. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people that they grew up with are following them, to the clubs, to the wherever, and they're just giving them money, right? Or they have terrible financial management habits, whatever it is. I wanted to speak more to the networking in the past because they can't let go of like these friendships, and they're in a different bracket than their friends, and they're just spending all this money, and next thing you know, they're broke. I'm not telling you to get rid of your broke friends. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but you do need to surround yourself with affluent minded people, because if you are of a lot of money and you're surrounded by people that don't have money, they're always going to be asking.
Yeah.
You're always going to see their needs. Maybe they're not asking, but you're going to see their needs.
You're going to
want to help your friends.
Can you imagine
and your
the
family.
guilt, right? Especially if you're coming from a space that isn't the best, of conditions. And then you're thrusted into a space where people are in 5-star hotels and they're living completely different. And now they have a McMansion. The guilt that might riddle those people, those individuals, is real. And it doesn't mean that you can't help the people around you. That's not what we're saying. But when you allow that guilt to drag you down, in which case a friend from your previous life can say, well, don't you remember? Aren't you a part of our family? And family helps people. Family gives money to people.
Part of our community.
That's part of our community. That's what we do. Right. And so all that to say, there's a reason why that happens. But when we talk about the limiting belief, and it could be your family, when you are sitting around the table and you happen to bring up something, a dream or an idea about, making a lot of money, or a dream of, oh, I want to go on this trip. I want to go on this trip and I want to go to Spain and I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And the first response out of somebody's mouth is, good luck. Good luck with money you're making. Or where do you think that money is going to come from?
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Money doesn't. Are you kidding me? There's no way we could ever do that. When you're faced with that every single time there is a petition for something that is a dream of yours, right? That makes you feel affluent, that helps you feel like, oh, I'm going after a dream of mine. You are around limiting belief people.
Versus being surrounded by an affluent-minded group that would say, I love that.
Yeah.
Let's plan some ways to make that happen. Like, how can we get you to your goal? This is what you want. Let's get after it.
Right.
How can we make it happen?
Right. So when we say networking and learning from others to stay in that affluent space and committing to affluence, being around people or making the intention of being around people who are dreaming and talking this way is going to change your outlook on how you look at your own finances, how you manage your finances, the way that you talk about your finances, the way you talk about your situations. Because when you're around other people, you feel like you're not alone. You're not the only one who has these big dreams and goals. And when you see, your friend over there who you're talking to and you're like, oh man, I'd really love to go to Spain. And she's like, oh my gosh, the next time I see an opportunity, let's make it happen. Let's talk it out. Let's see if we can make it happen for you. And what do you want to do there? Let's plan this out. Like, they're going to meet you right there and help you plan that goal or take you on that journey with them, as opposed to constantly being shut down. And you can use this for anything, right?
So let me say this so that people listening don't say, oh, Kim and Dan, money mastery coaches, don't believe in giving back and supporting communities. That's not at all what I was saying when I talked about, these professional athletes going broke. What I'm saying is surround yourself by an affluent-minded group of individuals who would say, hey, I see that you have a goal to give back to your community. Like, I can see that when you talk about your people back home, like, you have a calling to them. Let's plan a way that is sustainable.
Oh, there it is. That's a big word.
To give back to your community so that way it can continue to grow and you can constantly give more and more back, but you're not going broke.
Right.
Right. Like, how can we invest your money? How can we do things so that way it's growing and compounding and you can give back for the rest of your life versus give back all at once for a day or two,
right,
and then there's nothing left.
Or even helping or being around those people and helping them with their, like the person who's bringing in all this money, helping them with their mindset of, you don't have to feel guilt, right? You can still help your community and you don't have to feel guilt if you don't, like, there's always going to be, in the same way that there's never going to be enough for you, there's always going to be someone saying, well, I want this from you. I want this from you. And they will milk you dry, right? And so you have to create those boundaries and be able to say, this is how I'm going to build affluence with myself and help my community build affluence as well, by showing boundaries and creating a space where they can have that conversation and create a trust, almost, like, so to speak. So then they're still able to get understanding and get the wealth that they need or whatever monies they need, but they're also learning at the same time. Like, we can build those things, thus creating, again, that sustainability. So I know that NBA example is a little bit out there, but you get what I'm saying here. Like, you can still give back, right? And even where you are, even if you are like, oh, I'd love to be able to give back to this shelter, this community, this cause, you can start now. So being intentional with your finances and saying, this is a priority for me to give back to this type of community. Then as you do that, the more money you make, guess what? It becomes a part of your routine and a part of your habits and a part of your normal, like, mindset. It's a no-brainer for you. It's just automatic. And so that's kind of how you become that affluent person that you desire to be, that is giving to charities in lump sums, because you've been doing it even when you were not making the lump sums and you were just dreaming about it. That is kind of how you start to build this affluent mindset, and you start committing to it for real.
I know you said the NBA thing's a little out there. I would say it's relatable, because I think if you're listening to this podcast, you are committed to being affluent because you are trying to educate yourselves. And I guarantee you're probably one of the people in your family that's doing well with money.
That's true.
And people in your family are probably, they might be asking you questions like, hey, can you support me? Can you help me? Can you do this? Or you feel like I'm probably the head of the family. So if I have to handle things like wills or trusts, like your family's probably talking to you. Like it's probably going to go through you.
Right.
If you're taking the time to educate yourself through this podcast and through other resources. And really that's my challenge to you. I'm not saying this is a CTA per se, but educators do well because they educate themselves. So you need to model after that. What are you doing to educate yourself on investments, on wealth building, on financial management? Like, what are you doing to educate yourself? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Right? This is how you commit to being affluent.
Yeah.
Right mindset, educate yourself, surround yourself with the right people. These are your first steps.
Yes, that is literally it. When you have those goals in place and you are very clear on that, now it's time to put action behind it. And sometimes that looks like seeking that professional support and saying, okay, how do I do this? I have the people around me. We're all talking about it, but we're excited about understanding how to carry that out. So that looks like creating a budget. That looks like managing your spending. That looks like, again, creating more education or understanding more about investing, about saving, about growing your money sustainably, making sure that it's sustainable for yourself, growing that business that you desire. So it is you bringing yourself into places where you can get that type of support that's going to help you get to that affluent and stay committed to the affluent life that you desire. So I think that is a very good start to season 3.
No, I love it.
To really, if you've listened to season 1 and season 2, there's a lot of content we've covered, but it all remains the same. How bad do you want it? Do you want the affluent life? Do you want the life where you are like really going after those dreams and goals and the lifestyle that you're dreaming of? And it's not even that, for many people, it's not even that it's super intense. It's not like you want to sit on a yacht all day long, right? Sometimes it's just as simple as
you might,
but I just want to wake up and know that I have choices. That's really all it is that I want. I just want to be able to have choices. Unpack that for yourself and really decide to commit to that affluent life that you're desiring. Are we ready for a CTA? Do you have something else to say?
No, yeah. Give us a CTA, girl.
I think your CTA was really good to continue to educate yourself. I think it's a good thing to list, like, what types of things do I need to educate myself on? What types of things am I not so fluent in that I need to understand a little bit more about? So maybe start with YouTube. Maybe start with, our connections that we have, right? We have our Millionaire Blueprint, which is great if you have a spouse and you want to learn how to have these more rich conversations around finances. Boom. Like that's a great one to do that with. The link should be down in the description. So that's good. But even if it's investing, right? Let us know, DM us on the Affluent Marriage Pod or at KG Millionaire Coach. We'd love to help you, have some favorite people to connect with to help you understand more about certain things, about, wealth management. But overall, you need to kind of have that heart to heart with yourself. What does your affluent lifestyle look like to you?
Bottom line, you're not going to get rich overnight, but it's going to happen over consistent, smart financial decisions over time. You got to remember to define what wealth means to you personally. What is that end goal in mind? What are you trying to get to? What is your enough? What is your contentment? So it's going to vary from person to person what that affluent lifestyle is for you, but it's important to know what it is. And ultimately, you have to be committed. You have to have patience. These are key factors in the pursuit of your financial success. Guys, go live in love, walk in wealth. Take care, y'all.
Bye.